without, going into a huge sort of encyclopedia of AI and web development, what do you think are the great tidbits that, business owners would be really, really, would really benefit them to know?
It's a big question at this stage. It is the big question, because ever since November 2022, when ChatGPT came out, although there was AI before that, this is when it really hit the news. The world has changed so fast. And if we think people who are sort of old enough to remember when the internet came out, 10 years of the internet is about 1 year of AI time. And that's how fast it's changing. And I think without a doubt, the bus has not left. But you need to get on board now. You need to start thinking about how is AI and automation. It's not just AI and using the large language models, but it's also automation. How can I improve my processes? How can I save time? And that's where automation will come in. It's not so much that you're going to lay people off. I don't agree with that at all necessarily. I think it will have some effects, a bit like all sort of automation of the car industry. People were laid off. But there are other opportunities, and I think that's where people have got to get on board. They've got to think, not bury their head. It's here. It's not going away anywhere. So get up to date. Learn how to write a prompt in AI to get the best results. Because I always say it's garbage in, garbage out. If you just put a generic question in, write me a blog, it's going to come out and write a blog, but it's not going to be of any interest to anybody. But if you write a 60, 70 word or a 10-line prompt in detail, it will come out with some pretty good results. So I think people have to definitely get on board with that. It's affecting everybody. But I think what people need to do is they need to think about how they can actually use it in their businesses. So what are the processes they've got? How can they automate those processes? How can they use AI for creating content, creating videos now? Sorry. But the new Google video content tool is unbelievable. It's not going to make your next 30-second advert yet, but it's definitely here to stay, and people need to get to use it.
Yeah, I think it's so important that people do that, because you will miss the bus. It's ready to go, and I'm quite grateful that I was there on the 22nd of November, even though against my will initially, because I just couldn't cope with the thought of, oh no, I'm what is going to happen to me if I just get to use this. Whilst now I feel like okay, fine. If I don't want to use it for idea generation, I can use it for content planning. I can use it for organizing my to-do list. I can, there's so many other aspects of it that if you don't want it, if you're really against using it for creativity, you can just employ it anywhere else, and it will still have an impact, a major impact on your workflow and everything you've got to do.
And your home life. Yeah. I mean, people have never used AI. Just go to one of them, whether it's ChatGPT or Google, and just say, I don't know, write me a bedtime story for my 6-year-old involving dragons and involving, I don't know, mermaids, and see what comes out. It's unbelievable.
I want to try that now, actually. No, Ariel, she's going to breathe fire. Don't do it.
Or take a photograph of your fridge and say, write me a recipe with what's in my fridge.
That's it.
Just simple things. It doesn't have to be, world-changing, but to be able to just use it.
Well, I'm looking forward to that Pepsi Max fondue later. Oh, sorry, product placement. Oops.
But yeah, home life and work life. It's definitely there, definitely coming in a big way.
It's a whole new way of thinking. Like you just talked about these prompts that on the face of it seem very simple, but you have to get in the right mindset. Otherwise, you'll never see the opportunities that are staring you right in the face.
Absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right.
And I think like now, if someone is coming in, because there's so much already, it can get a little bit overwhelming. But it's definitely about prompt generation and how you write it. Exactly what you mentioned earlier about the 10 line. You can just say, write me a story for my kids about dragons and mermaids. But you can go 10 steps further and say, that has this adjacent line or inner thought about fairness and just something else that can tell it, that has a moral to it, and all of a sudden you have a completely different script, different story, but has a lot more meaning. It's just about spending a little bit more time and really refining what you're writing.
And also, it's a bit like taking your kids 10-pin bowling when they're very young. You put up the bumpers down the side, so you can tell it what not to do as well as what to do. Yeah. So, you know, for example, it took me a long time to figure out how to get rid of the Americanisms. But just put in the prompt, use British English. Yeah. And it comes out spelling colour correctly. And spelling neighbour
So you were just shouting Queen's English at it, wasn't cutting it.
Didn't work. But then also, it's got an annoying habit of putting colons in the headings. So say, do not put colons in the headings. And it uses, and I understand grammatically correct, those long dashes, which are actually called EM dashes, I believe they are. Don't use them, and it doesn't. So it's not just what you want out of it, but it's actually giving it the guidelines as to what to include as well as exclude.
I mean, that's a fascinating example as well, because that is how I write and wrote way before 2022 November, right? And it's just, oh damn it! Now everything I write looks like ChatGPT. It's muscle memory. I'm very much like blah, 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 dash blah, 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 blah. Can't do that anymore. No. And I always have to just double check. Oh no,
remove it.
But that's how I do it. Yeah. But but it's a real thing. I've heard. I don't necessarily know anyone firsthand, but I've heard through trusted colleagues of people who work in copywriting, and people have rejected their work because they say, no, this looks like it was done by AI. It's like, no, I'm just really good at.
It is grammatically correct.
I'm just really good at what I do. Yeah. That's why it looks great. Yeah. But that's an interesting space.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And to be fair, going back to the video stuff, I feel like most people are really scared about it, especially people in my industry, because of the possibilities that there are out there. And we were talking about this earlier, and I just feel like, again, it's just how you implement it. Instead of seeing it as a threat, you see it as a tool. All of a sudden now we've got access to visual effects that would have cost Hollywood tens of thousands of pounds to produce. And now we can really, especially now with VO3, it's incredible. I don't know, it makes people like me, who is a one-man or two-man band, able to offer services and visuals that are only possible now with crews of 10 plus members.
It enhances your creativity. It doesn't replace it. I think it actually enhances it.
Well, exactly. And I think it works both ways in that respect, because if you're creating through AI, it creates a platform that enables you to do these things, then great. Then you're enabled to use your creativity in a very different way than you were before, rather than, I guess, I certainly felt this way at some points, thinking, this gives everyone an unfair advantage. Well, no, but if it gives everyone an unfair advantage, then we're all still in the same playing field.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, what can I do with this then? And that's the mindset that we historically, as human beings, have had with everything. Okay. I don't have to walk there. I can get in this motor car thing now. But oh gosh, that's cheating. No.
But just go back to the horse.
Exactly. Go back to the horse. Yeah.
I just eat raw meat. Not using fire.
What the hell? But it's a fascinating place to be, and there's so many. I mean, it seems you again, Philip, you see this so much, but for me, it seems every week there's something else that hits you in the face of, oh gosh, that sounds like something I should really be embracing or understanding. And there's other pitfalls. There's a lot of, like with anything like this, when there are new innovations, there's also a bit of, okay, you need to be a bit cautious about this. You do need to be a bit like, is this white noise? Is this actually, charlatans talking charlatan speak?
And don't go and chase the latest thing always. I think actually pick one or two, get to use them properly, use them well. Don't worry about, if I go and use this one, it's got this tool, or I go and use that one, it's got this tool. Ultimately, they're all going to have the same tools in them, because if that works over here, it's going to be added in here as well. So don't worry too much. There are certain ones that are better at writing than other ones. There are better ones that code than other ones, but just get used to actually playing with it. As a local business owner, play with it, get used to it, bring it into the business, bring in automation into the business as well, because that's really where it's next going to go, because you can combine the two, and that's when you get real efficiencies. So it's saving time, it's allowing you to be more creative, it's allowing you to be to serve more customers at the end of the day. So I think the people who do actually embrace it will become more efficient.
Fantastic. And I guess we sort of alluded to this a little bit in what we were talking about before, but so we talked about some great opportunities. We talked about, automation and AI together. Are you seeing any pitfalls? Are you seeing any directions that perhaps business owners or people in that space ought to avoid, or maybe have some trepidation towards? Are you seeing things that, that may be not as beneficial to you as you think it's coming out?
There's one big one.
Yeah.
And all of these tools actually are beginning to allow to link into your Google Drive or link into your Dropbox or link into other places where you've got company information. The big thing you've got to be cautious of is the GDPR.
Yeah.
So in other words, suddenly I've got a list of my customers' information sitting on a CRM system, and you've linked it up to ChatGPT, thinking, I'll be able to pull that in but not thinking about what are my responsibilities for that data.
Yes.
So really be very cautious about linking any to a depository of your information to any of the large language models, because suddenly you're not in control of that data, and under GDPR rules, you must be under control.
Yeah, if you're a data controller, you have that responsibility to do it.
Correct.
And I think the fines for getting that wrong are astronomical.
Yeah.
You don't even want to mess around with that.
And for a small business, that's one thing just to be cautious of, certainly.
Yeah, well, that's great. Actually, just great to put that in there, because I think some of us certainly, I had some awareness of that. I'm generally through my other life, have come across a lot of data protection issues that I need to be very au fait with. But I can imagine people may be a little bit blind to that sometimes.
Don't even think about it. They think, I'll just be able to...
Because
then I'll be able to pull this in, and I'll be able to send out emails, and I'll be able to do this and do that and do that. But actually, it's somebody else's data.
So, it's somebody else's data. And that stuff has changed very quickly in the last 5 to 10 years. It's become very much... it felt to me, at least, from no one really pays much attention to this at any level, to everyone now does, apart from when you don't, and then it's really consequential.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's really good advice. Yeah, fantastic.